Alright guys, welcome to the Kraken and Games. We're back here with another video. This one's a little bit special. We went ahead and bought a Breed Lethality pre-constructed EDH deck. Came highly recommended as far as strength and play, also value in cards. It's also been a little while since I've seen anyone do an opening of this or any kind of deck tech since all the new additions and stuff are out. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. But first, if you could, go ahead and like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. As always, you know, we're here to make these videos to learn with you so we can all learn to be a little bit better at this. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Now, I've seen a lot of pre-cons, right? 30, 40 bucks. This one, for some reason, is well up over 250. So I went looking into it, and the cards that are in it are huge for Commander, not only just in this deck, but for other decks. And so it's usable, and it's got some pretty good value to it as well. And I've seen that a lot of players prefer this to say it's even not fun to play against. So it should be a little interesting. Look at that. Very nice deck box. And then we got the big card. I guess this was a big thing back in 2016. People really like these oversized cards. A little weird, but hey, kind of a cool little thing. So we can check that out. Now, as I'm opening this, we'll talk a little bit. Obviously, there's two different versions of this. I think there's I don't know if it's called a revised version, but there's another version you can buy that's a little bit, I think it's newer, and it comes in like in one of the game nights. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a fan of some of these other cards here too. I've heard it said that this should probably have hexproof. It would be a lot stronger, and I tend to agree with that. But I also heard that, you know, we don't just want to use this deck for the proliferation, the creatures, and the creature damage. We also want to add ourselves some extra win conditions. But we'll get into that too here as we go out and through the deck. Mostly what I've heard this deck is a proliferate deck. It is all about getting creatures out there, getting counters on them, and then Atraxa on the other cards, you know. You're just constantly booting up those counters, whether it be 1/1 counters, loyalty counters, any counter. That's the cool thing about proliferate. It doesn't say any specific counter unless it says it on the card. So if it just says proliferate, that means any number of permanents and or players with counters on them, then give each other character of any kind already there. So you're going to give another one of each counter that you have to the creatures that have counters on them. Now I'm using, in my modern 60 card deck, 1v1, I'm using a lot of the Generous Visitor and stuff like that. So I'd imagine she would be pretty nasty in a modern deck and a standard deck that's running something like that. So there's other uses outside the card besides Commander. There's a lot of staples of Commander in here. Also, like I said, we want to put in a couple win conditions. I recommend looking at Commander Zone. They're really good channel when it comes to deck tech, and they really take their time. They really research their stuff. So, and I've learned a lot from those guys. So I would recommend anybody, after you watch this video, go ahead and take your time and see what they have to say about it. Now, besides the just having extra win conditions, it seems like when you do have the extra win conditions with this, that you can make it so that it comes as a surprise to your opponent. Because, I mean, as soon as someone sees Atraxa, I saw a video that said, you know, she's kill on sight. Automatic kill on sight. People know what she's going to do, you know. So it's important to have other win conditions because she's going to be very highly sought after. So we want other win conditions other than just the proliferate and the 1/1 counters and the creatures, you know. So, and it looks like we have a bunch of tokens here. Sweet. I like making tokens. Who doesn't like making tokens? Fester Creep, Thrumming Bird. So, I mean, there's good cards in here for Commander all the way around. I haven't really looked into the value too much. I'd assume if it's getting, you know, if they're charging you, you know, 200, 180, up to 250 bucks for this thing I've seen. Ooh, Soul Ring. Gotta love those on first turn. Yeah, so, I mean, any of those cards are any indication, then there's probably some pretty good worth in here. Especially, you know, they're not just going to charge you 250 bucks for something that doesn't have the worth in it. Lots of signets. I've seen the signets. Lots and lots of signets. That's good. Whole lots of artifacts, some enchantments. I've seen some people were saying the board wipes are really, really high. Yeah, seeing destroy target artifact and creature. And that's going to be part of the cards that we say we're gonna talk about adding in. Again, from the newer sets, there's lots of stuff, especially Kamigawa, that will go good in a Commander deck like this. Solidarity, Phyrexis, Inspiring Call, Mortify, Putrefy, Ancient Excavation, Sylvan Reclamation. So, I mean, there's just good cards all the way around in here. Oh, that's one of the best ones. I'm wanting to put that in quite a few of my commander decks, so that'll be good. And again, there's cards in here that, you know, when you look into it and you start looking into what cards you want to use, what cards you don't want to use, that's really going to dictate what cards you're going to want to take out, you know, because it's based off the strength of the cards that are already in it and the strength of the card you're trying to put in it. But what's nice is this gives you a really nice basis and foundation for doing stuff like that. You know, you get it out the box. It's a little expensive, but it's one of the stronger decks, and it's very easily upgradable. And there's tons of videos out there on it. We'll go through some of the more modern card editions, like, you know, you have your Kamigawa, of course, but you also have your Zendikar. You got your both Innistrad editions. So we'll get into that here in a second. Necroplasm, classic. I mean, it's just full of good cards for Commander and outside Commander. So that's another reason why I grabbed it. It's also good for teaching new players. You know, we play Commander a little bit, and then you bust this thing out and you give them a little bit more of this harder stuff to deal with, you know? And it seems to work really well. Nice. And the art is great in these, obviously. Ooh. Cauldron of Souls, classic. Astral Cornucopia, Hardened Scales. Lots of 1/1 counters, Citadel Siege. And we'll get back to that, of course. Cathar's Crusade, because that's basically the whole idea of this build, is just proliferate, and just swamp them. So, ooh, Languish. And in the meantime, you control them until you can get it all out there. And then maybe you can protect your Atraxa and all your other proliferate creatures. Look at that. All artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments. Choose one. It'll be interesting. This would be a card that I would say maybe Farewell would be a better card to put in that slot, because, you know, you could choose any. And I saw another one. I'll have to look at it in Strixhaven, which we have coming that we're going to open. I had to send that one pack back. It was definitely resealed. But I know in there's multiple where you pick two. So if you have any of these that pick more than one, it's obviously going to be better than that card in that slot. So just things like that, you know, it depends on what you're looking for. But this deck is just chock full. And then, yeah, here comes the special lands. These two, there's a couple that I've seen, especially in Kamigawa, the Soaring City, Odawara. You have Takanuma's Abandoned Mire. You got Beside You. So some really good cards that will help you with your control, at the same time as, you know, can also be used as a land if you're getting mana droughted. So that's always a good thing. So that's another thing I'll be looking into. A treasure vault seemed to be a good thing. I don't know. We'll look into that, and then of course our lands. Now I've heard multiple people say that, oh, I wish it had red. I wish it had red. You know, and I kind of agree, especially for some of the planeswalkers I want to put in here, because again, proliferate helps with your loyalty counters that are on your planeswalkers too. So those can really get out of hand pretty quick too. So I'm thinking maybe those in there, some planeswalkers, especially some of the more powerful ones. And what's nice is you can put, you know, say you're trying to put Karn, or you're trying to put Tezzeret, or you're trying to put some Tamiyo in the deck. Well then, you know, you can use the different editions and versions of that card, just because it's, you know, a bolus card. Ooh, a little Pringle out of there. That's okay. That's fixable. A little bit of humidity. So, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. And with there only being one of each card in a deck, the whole legendary thing doesn't really make too much of a difference, you know, because you only have one card of each in there. So some of my recommendations to add to the deck, and these are cards that I pulled here from videos in the past or private openings. My recommendations, just a quick look at them, would be something like Time Warp. Gives you whole nother term. Urza Saga helps you go look for specific kinds of artifacts. I think it's that cost either 1 or 0 colorless mana. You got things like Brainstorm to help you with, you know, card cycling. Maybe Wandering Archaic, you know, start copying some of these sorceries, things like that. And then getting more into Kamigawa set, which everyone knows has done really, really well as far as commander play. We have a couple of them. Obviously, Mirror Box, I would think could be good. Not quite sure about that one yet, but Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant, as far as copying spells, would be awesome. Again, those Kamigawa lands, the Beside You, the Soaring Sky, and the Abandoned Mire, Takanuma, Those are all going to be good ones I'm going to be trying in this. I have a Tameo. Tameo, I'd like to see if I can integrate her into this deck. I'm not so sure just yet, but it's something that's definitely worth looking into. Kappa Commander. That's that's a card that's getting a whole lot of play in Legacy, but you know, or it's actually Kappa Cannoneer. Sorry, Kappa Commander. Figure we're talking about EDH. So yeah, Kappa Cannoneer would be one I'd like to see if it'll work. You know, just because he becomes unblockable, that seems pretty powerful in Commander. Another couple ones I was thinking of was Reality Chip. Obviously, the Reality Chip would be interesting. You get to pull off of and check, you know, the top card of your library. That seems to me fairly powerful, especially in EDH in a deck that's already strong. Farewell is another good one. Like we said, board wipes with more options than what's already in the slots in this deck will help. A couple more that I saw was Drum Bellower and Reality Heist. Both of these I think could have value if you're able to maybe find other cards, you know, that could work with them, or even figure out a way to integrate them in more. Some notable ones that I've seen is Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Personally, I like that card because it makes all your opponents discard until there's up to 20 mana equal of cards in their discard pile. That can be sometimes up to 10, 15 cards at a time, and you're having all your opponents do that. So that seems like it might be notably worth mentioning. Again, Treasure Vaults, any kind of, you know, lands or anything that with extra abilities will go good. Lithiform Engine, this is one I'm really looking at, because then you can really start copying things, and that's not what really people really expect from this deck. So maybe there's a way to make some kind of combo out of that as well. I'll be looking into. And then a Platinum Angel. Obviously, it's a strong flying creature that you can get some tokens out and on, and it'll become pretty gnarly pretty quick. But it's got that extra condition of you can't lose the game. So as long as you can keep it there, and you know, you put something like a Dark Steel Plate on it, now it's looking pretty rough. Now they're going to have to go ahead and board wipe it. So, and again, it's an artifact creature, so it's got to be tested a little bit. Again, I'm just kind of spitballing here about ideas I was coming up with. And then again, Planeswalkers, the Ajani's, the Karns, the Teferis, the Bolas, which a lot of the Bolas you're going to need red. And again, that's something that lacks in this deck, but when you own it, you know, you can kind of make it a red deck if you want to. We're all deck masters here. Yeah, and Tezzeret was another one I saw that was really big for this deck. Tezzeret is probably some of his Planeswalkers I'll be putting in here once I get to playing with it and stuff. And again, as far as cards you want to cut, it just depends on what you're trying to add to the deck, what you're going to need to take away. Obviously, anything that you can find that gives you more versatility in play, more choices than the cards that are given in the deck are going to do you a great advantage and give you an edge. So it seems like that would be smart. But really, it's all up to you. What you want to, that's the beauty thing about Deck Masters. You get to choose what you want to add in, test it, see if it works. If it does, you make it better. If it doesn't, you might sack it. You might try to tweak it a little bit more. So, and that's one of the great things about this game I think everyone likes, is that it's all about playing and learning, you know. So, it is expensive, but I do recommend it, absolutely. The playability is out this world. I think the only other one I was looking at that was nearly as strong was the Eldrazi deck, and that was like, I think 400 was the highest, you know, 450 I saw going for on like Amazon and stuff. I'm sure you can get it cheaper, but you know, those are a little bit more expensive. This one I got out the door $220, so it's not too bad. If you enjoyed this video though, that would be awesome if you go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe. But also go ahead and check out this video. We got plenty of openings where I got the cards that we recommend with Neon Dynasty. As always, thank you for your time. You guys stay lucky.